Hello, y'all. Welcome to my podcast. Okay, so we are just going to go ahead and dive right in. I have a few interesting topics today that I want to get into. So we'll just go ahead and get started, okay? All right. So the first topic that I have is then it's about the Trump administration. You just can't get away from it in today's news, okay? So that's why I and the article intrigued me too. Okay? So the article says the federal judge blocked Trump administration from barring foreign students enrollment at Harvard. And I'm like, of course, Trump got to get into something. He's got to, find his way into something, okay? So this article is from the AP News. And here's a little tidbit from the article, okay? It says a federal judge made a decision to block the Trump administration attempt to cut off Harvard's enrollment of foreign students. The administration had accused Harvard of creating an unsafe campus environment and coordinating with the Chinese Communist Party. Doesn't even make any sense, okay? Okay, so Harvard filed a lawsuit arguing that the administration actions violated their First Amendment and it would have a devastating impact on the university, which has over 7,000 international students. The judge ruling put the administration sanction against Harvard on hold pending the lawsuit. The article also mentioned that the impact would be heaviest on Harvard's graduate program, where there's a significant portion of the student body that is international. Okay, so those are just tidbits from the article. The article is, longer, and there'll be a description, and there'll be a link in the description if you guys want to read the entire article. But that's basically the gist of it. Okay, my thing is, I don't know why President Trump is so obsessed with this university. He is so obsessed with these Ivy League universities, especially Harvard. There's been a lot of back and forth I've seen in the news, where he's just so obsessed with what they're doing. I've also noticed he's been obsessed with other people's business as well, like other businesses where I'm just like, why are you worried about what Walmart is doing? Or why are you worried about, leave these people alone? Just focus on political business. Focus on, people say, mind the business that pays you. Focus on that. Focus on minding the business that actually pays you. Okay, so focus on the people that you have in business, that you placed in office. Focus on those people, because those people seem to be running amok. Okay, Hexeth is running amok. Gnome is running amok, running her mouth over all type of stuff. These people, I think you need to focus on them and getting them together and getting them right, okay, versus worried about what Apple is doing or what Harvard is doing or what Walmart is doing. I know these are big businesses, and yes, they do have a great impact on the U.S. economy, but so do other businesses. Okay, stop focusing on these things and focus on what's going on in the Senate, what's going on with these legislations. Okay, focus on those type of things. Why focus on what this university is trying to do? You know what I mean? This university has been around for a long time. Everybody know Harvard is a pretty big name. Everybody knows Harvard. They got so much going on. Why are you so worried about stopping them from admitting international students? What? Okay. He said, what did he say? He said that he feels they coordinate with the China Communist Party. Why would this school coordinate with the Chinese Communist Party? Are you kidding me? This doesn't even make any sense. You're arguing against this university with stuff that you don't even have proof of. Okay, there's other people that are probably in business with the communist parties. Why not focus on them or trying to find them out? Why all of a sudden targeting this university that's busy minding its own business, doing their thing that they've been doing for a while. I'm sure Harvard has other issues. I'm sure, all universities have issues that they're worried about, and, stuff going on. They have other issues, much less to now worry about dealing with the president. I bet they never saw this one coming. Okay. Golly. But anyways, okay, so they said they have 7,000 students, 7,000 international students in attendance. And that's a lot. But I would say with a lot of these Ivy League and even just, I think, like top universities in general, they do have a big population of students that come, like a foreign, that these foreign nationals, they call them, right? You do have that big population of them because there are a lot of students that they travel from all around the world to come to these top name universities, just like in England. Like there's people that travel to go to Oxford University because it's like a big university, and it's like it's famous, and that it's famous, but it's famous for its education. Like Harvard, it's famous for its education and the level of education that it offers. And so is Oxford, so people will want to go to those schools, and that name means something. Graduating from an Oxford means something. Graduated from an Harvard, it means something to people. It means like you were with the best of the best, so those top universities, they get, they hire top minds from all around the world, all around the world. They hire those, and then they also recruit top minds from all around the world in their students. So, and to me, I feel like they do that because you need that diversity, which is what the president is trying to stop, right? He's trying to create this lack of diversity, which it doesn't really make sense. He's trying to stop anything that's diverse. He's trying to kind of like put a stop to that. So he's like, okay, let's stop any international people from coming and going to these top universities. Well, that's what make these universities. Don't you understand? Like those minds, they're so intelligent, they're so smart. We need that. We need different people from, we don't all want to be the same. So we need to bounce ideas off of different people. Well, you lived in like, some small village in China, but you were so intelligent that you were able to acquire scholarships to come to the US to study, or you live in India, or, someplace, Australia, you live in all these different places, and you have different experience, you have different mindset about certain things, and to come and, with other brilliant minds, because Harvard don't just get like random people, like I'm sure there's those, which that's always been issues, stuff that people argue about, like the legacy hires, or legacy kids or whatever. Where, mama, daddy, auntie, uncle, everybody went to Harvard. So it's like, so even though the kid didn't do well, they would give money or whatever, and then they're able to go. And I know in past years, that's been like an issue. Like people, are trying to crack down on these people that are, saying, hey, you just gave money and now this kid is able to go to the school. But everybody know that's been going on. So why are we pretending, or why are we trying to call one specific person out, or some specific people? Like that's always been going on. Not to say it's right, but it is what it is. Okay. So I'm just saying that to say, hey, there's always issues with stuff. Okay. There's the one, there's always outliers, basically. There may be that one person that isn't very smart that got in. But for the most part, that's not the case. Okay, for the most part, you are working your behind off. You're the top, you're the creme de la creme, you're the top of the crop to be, able to go to these Ivy Leagues. Okay, so let's be clear. So they're not just getting random people from, from Asian countries, from European countries, from islands. They're not just getting like just random people. It's cream of the crop, top people, top mind, these brilliant mind. They're getting like these researchers, these business people, these artists, and these are all brilliant people that are all coming together, to learn and grow. So I'm not sure why you would want to stop that, that diversity that brings that uniqueness. But of course, Leave it to our president. So yeah, that's why I have a little bit of an opinion to say today about that, because I'm just like, just mind your business. Leave these people alone. Blocking foreign student enrollment. I saw a little blip. I didn't like a little blip saying that I guess Belgium. I didn't even know Belgium had like queens and there's so much we don't know about this world, and maybe other people knew, but I guess a Belgian princess was trying to go into Harvard, I guess. So they're saying that this, what the president was doing, would kind of block her, because she's like gonna be like a future queen of Belgium. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know Belgium had kings and queens, but here we go. Didn't know that. And I'm sure there's plenty of countries where, they do still have kings and queens. I just don't really know because we don't pay attention to those type of things, or I don't, but yeah, so there's so many different type of people from all walks of life that come and go to these, Ivy League. So the president just needs to stop it. Just my little 2 cents. Okay, so the next on my list, let me scroll down here to see. The next on my list is, next thing I want to talk about, next thing on my list I want to talk about is, and this might not be interesting to anybody else but me at this point, because this stuff gets me like real worried, okay? And it says, it's an article about a 17-year-old boy who broke the world record for early onset Alzheimer, okay? And I'm just like, 17 years old, like, dang, poor baby. And this article, I found this article in earth.com, on earth.com, okay? And so, and here's the little gist from the article that I took down, okay? So it spoke about this 17-year-old boy who he was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, but he wasn't fully diagnosed with Alzheimer's until the age of 19. And I guess they're saying this is an extremely rare occurrence, okay? It says, typically Alzheimer's is considered an age-related disease that affects older adults, but this case highlights the complexity of the condition and the need for further research. The boy's symptoms, including recurrent forgetfulness, academic struggles, and memory impairment, were confirmed through specialized imaging and cerebrospinal fluid analysis. It says, however, the cause of the early onset Alzheimer remains a mystery, okay? Because he did not have any known genetic factors like PSEN1 or APP gene. Okay, I guess those are marker genes where they can pinpoint and says, okay, this, because he has these genes, he'll probably more than likely have early onset Alzheimer, okay, or some sort of, dementia or whatever, or any other identifiable triggers, okay? The case underscores the importance of vigilance, timely neurological evaluations, and ongoing research to uncover new pathways and potential preventative strategies for this devastating disease, even in young individuals. So per the article, scientists are now looking at lifestyle factors and additional genetic markers that may play a role in the disease onset. Excuse me. This includes things like unusual protein buildup and metabolic imbalances, and even in young individuals. Okay, so the protein buildup and metabolic imbalances, I don't know, that kind of remind me of like sickle cell, like when you have like those sickle cell gene, that can also happen, with the protein buildup. Okay, but continuing, it says, per the article, or newly discovered gene variants. Okay, so protein buildup, metabolic imbalances, or newly discovered gene variants. So yeah. All right. So this is one of those things that it kind of bothers me because you never know when stuff like this is going to happen, and it's uncontrollable. You just never know. Okay. And especially this guy, he's like 17 years old, or he was 17 years old. Okay. Then he was diagnosed at 19. So the article, I guess it didn't really give much background into like where he is now or how long ago this was, but it seems like it's fairly recent, right? The article did mention that he wasn't, reading through it. It mentioned that he wasn't even really able to finish school. It did say that he lived on his own, but he wasn't really able to finish school because he couldn't remember anything, poor thing. And he was so young. So it's just unfortunate. Can you imagine being that young and can't remember a thing? Even now at my age, I'm like, so hard to remember anything. But being that young and not just, and being kind of thinking, because maybe they thought it was, maybe, I don't know, I'm just saying, maybe they thought it was like ADD or something, like maybe he's not concentrating or whatever. So you just never know. I know in my case, because this is really why I clicked on this article, because I'm always trying to self-diagnose based off stuff that I see, because I'm always wondering, is this what's happening to me? Is this what's going on? Here, comments. There we go. Is this what's happening to me? Is this what's going on? Because I'm always like freaking out that I'll have Alzheimer's, and I am terrified that I have Alzheimer's because I haven't been remembering too much lately. Like I've been forgetting a lot of stuff, and I'm thinking, oh, I may have. I'm not even putting on myself, like, knock on wood. Okay, I'm not even putting anything on myself. I'm just like, I don't want early onset. I have Alzheimer's, so I've been blaming everything, like with my memory. I've kind of been blaming it on like, maybe it's just menopause. Maybe it's just, I'm getting up there in age, so maybe that's what it is. So, and then sometimes I'm like, it could be something worse because it's like just basic things I'll forget. Like I'm like, where is my phone? And I know everybody's like, I do this too. Like, where is my phone? And then you find it in like the refrigerator, or you're like, where are my keys? And then you realize that you had put it down instead of like next to your bed or something. You would put it down like on the counter, someplace on the counter where you don't normally put it or something like that. I don't know, that happens to people, and it happens to me a lot lately. So I'm just like, this is just happening way too much, and I'm forgetting like I'm forgetting stuff that I know. You know what I mean? Like I know this, so why am I forgetting this stuff? And it'll be excuse me, it'll be like in the back of my head, like the information will still be there. Like I'm like, I know it just won't pull forward. It's just back there, but it's not coming through. Like I know this. Like if somebody was to say it, I'd be like, that's it. It's just not pulling through. So and I'm thinking that's a memory problem. I'm assuming that's a memory problem. But yeah, so I haven't gone to check it out. I keep saying I will, but like I said, I'm low-key scared. I think I've mentioned that before. I'm low-key scared to go check it out because I really don't want to hear any bad news. So, the article did mention, it says, you have to be vigilant with memory issues and get neurological evaluations. And I know I've been saying I should, and I'm going to, but I haven't. So this is one of those like, do as I say, not as I do type thing, but I agree with them. It probably should go check it out once you notice anything wrong, because they said that, they could intervene early. Because there are some treatments, there's no cure, but there are treatments that can delay the process and could delay the cognitive deterioration, so that it doesn't, you have a little bit longer time, but yeah, yikes. Okay, but anyways, the point is, it's like, man, that guy is so young, but at least he went and got evaluated. So we all need to be vigilant. We all need to watch what, like when that memory is going, especially, now, especially when you're not old, but not like me, I'm not old, but I'm not young either. So when stuff is happening, it's just like, well, what's going on? And I know a lot of people feel the same way. And I know, you know what? I know a lot of people think that they may be too young for early onset Alzheimer's, but this is just one of those cases where it's just like, well, look at this guy. He was only 17 years old, and he's not too young. So, you just never know. So go get checked out. And you may not be crazy because you may think, oh my gosh, I'm crazy. Because, when we think of dementia, because Alzheimer's is a form of dementia, when we think of dementia, we just think of like this old person just going outside, at 1 a.m. in the morning and walking around calling for their wives or calling for their past husbands or whatever, just calling for their kids who are adults now, but they're thinking they're kids or something. We just think of those like horrible situations, and it really does affect the family. But it can, as in this situation, it could come at a younger age. So just don't count that type of stuff out. But anyways, good article. And there will be a link also. So it was from earth.com. Okay. All right. So moving right along, I have one more topic I want to talk about with y'all. And this one it's a sort of fun, but not really fun topic because it's crazy. It's a crazy topic because I haven't heard of this, but maybe y'all have. Okay. Apparently there is something called a labubu doll. Okay. A labubu furry animals. Okay. It's a toy. So a labubu toy. There's something called a labubu toy. And apparently it's causing like lots of fury. So I saw this article on the BBC website, okay, bbc.com. So it says the labubu fan fury after dolls pull from store. Labubu fan fury after dolls pulled from stores. Okay, so I was just curious because there was an image, and you'll see the image when I put this together. There, I showed the article image or whatnot. There was an image of the doll, and I was just like, they're going crazy over that. But okay, so the article says that there was chaos and fan fury surrounding the labubu dolls. Okay, which is a popular collectible toy created by Hong Kong-born artist Cassie Lung and popularized through a collaboration with toy store Pop Mart. It says the reason why I clicked on this, it says due to a large crowd and reports of customer fighting over the dolls, Pop Mart has decided to pause selling them in all of its 16 UK stores until June. So this is really over in the UK, okay? Fans are angry, blaming the company for drip feeding stock and resellers for buying up the dolls and reselling them at an inflated price, which is what people do when there's not a lot in stock. It's just what it is. Okay, so retail experts warn that the suspension of sales will only increase demand, and there are concerns about counterfeit labubu dolls being sold on resale sites. Pop Mart said it is working on a new, more equitable release mechanism for when the dolls return to stores in June. Okay. Okay. And this story is interesting because I've never heard of these dolls. I don't know if y'all have, but I've never heard of these dolls. And I guess maybe they're just really popular over in the UK. But here's the thing. The article did also mention that it became popular because it was a TikTok trend. And it became a TikTok trend after it was worn. I guess the doll was worn like it's like a handbag or something, like the doll is like sticking off the handbag. Okay, it was worn by celebrities like Rihanna and Dua Lipa. So I guess these celebrities wore these these dolls, these toys, these plush animals, okay, plush animal looking toys. I guess they wore them so it became like a popular thing. Okay, oh, let's light is now hitting my face. Um, the sun is going down, y'all. Um, so, um, I guess that's when it became popular. So I'm like, huh, I'm surprised those celebrities are popular here. So I'm surprised it didn't like take off here as well, you know, in the US. But looking at the dolls, okay, the dolls look cute. Like if you just look at the little animals, they actually look kind of cute. But I opened up an image just to see the dolls, the little animal's face, the little toy's face, and the toy face looked kind of creepy, y'all. Like it looked creepy. So I don't really, I don't really know why this is such a craze. But it is a craze in the UK and not here. I do remember, I don't know if y'all remember like the Care Bears. I remember that being like a really popular craze as well. Like people would have all type of Care Bears. They had the actual bear, like the big bear stuffed animal. Then they actually wore it. Like they actually made little small ones that you could wear on your purse. Like you could actually wear it on your purse. But the Care Bears were everywhere. It was on bags. It was on everything, right? So I remember that being popular. So I kind of maybe like it's something similar to Care Bears, except not as cute to me as Care Bears, because these things, the face was like I said, it looked cute at first glance, but when you look, it had like these little sharp little jagged teeth, and it's all the way like across like a clown. So it's, I mean, I don't get it personally. Um, just one of those things. Um, but yeah, so I don't understand why people were fighting over this. One thing I do remember though is the only time I remember people fighting over toys was because I remember at this time I used to work at Toys R Us, and I remember the Talking Elmo dolls were like really popular. So I actually remember people trying to get the Talking Elmo dolls, and I actually remember people fighting over the Talking Elmo dolls. Like, so I remember that being popular, and that was sold out of stores in like minutes, like real quick for Christmas. So that's the only thing I can maybe attribute it. Like maybe it's something similar because maybe a lot of people couldn't understand. But here's the thing though, this is adults people fighting for these. This is not, they're not fighting for the kids. They're fighting for these toys for themselves. The Talking Elmo was like for a Christmas gift for the kids. So, I mean, either ways, nobody should be fighting, but it just made a little bit more sense that you'll be fighting over a stuffed animal for a child versus, you know, yourself. But yeah, I don't know. People are crazy. But that's all I have to say today, okay? So thank y'all for joining me, and let me know what y'all think, okay? Thank you. Have a good one.